I have 4:15. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Sam Martin. Here. Bob Freeman here. And Rick Morgan is here. First order of business, we just concluded a non-public meeting with our tax collector on payment arrangements for delinquent property taxes, and I make a motion to seal those minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Public input, short, before we start into the report. Great.
I would like to thank the residents who went down to Duncan Lake and cleaned up the beach. The town is aware of the trash that's been thrown around down there, and I'd like to thank the community for making the community effort to clean it up. And as a town, we're on top of it moving forward.
I appreciate that. I did, it's one of those things, unfortunately, that beach is so far out of the way. If somebody doesn't get down there on a regular basis, it can get ahead of us, and I think it had.
It did.
So if you can, I join you in applauding those people who did help with the cleanup. And if you could try to put that on your schedule for a more frequent check.
Yep.
Hopefully we can keep it from getting that way.
Yep.
Thank you. Other public input? Okay. We have several sets of minutes to approve. Town administrator, between filling in for our accounts manager, we've gotten behind a little bit here, but the first one is the minutes of the Selectmen's work session and finance meeting, which occurred on June 5th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
No second.
All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the Selectmen's work session and non-public issues, which occurred on Monday, June 12th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have the minutes of the Selectmen's meeting, which occurred on Monday, June 12th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And we have minutes of the Selectmen's work session, which occurred on Monday, June 19th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And lastly, the minutes of the Selectmen's meeting, which occurred on Monday, June 19th. I make a motion we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have the check voucher totals. Payroll for week ending 6/24 was $38,538.26. Payroll taxes in the amount of $12,831.07. We had accounts payable week ending 6/17 of $65,139.86, and a school payment of $948,075, for a total disbursed this last week $1,064,584.19. I make a motion to sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Little bit of money. Not bad, so fast. We have a letter to our trustee of trust funds from us regarding the withdrawal of benefit pay capital reserve funds in the amount of $15,599.84. I make a motion we sign. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
We have a letter from us to the trustee of trust funds regarding withdrawal of the bridge repair and the replacement of expendable trust fund, the amount of $1,644. I make a motion we sign. All in favor? Aye. We have a letter from, notice from Brad Harriman. This is on the Water Department rules and regulations, updated. I confess, to be honest with you, we just got this today. I've not had a chance to read it, but since Brad and Bo are both here, I know you pointed out a couple of different changes, Brad, if you'd like to speak about them briefly.
Yeah, just briefly, there hadn't been a section there on the temporary water services in there that felt should be addressed. And also on, what was the other one, was the separation of pipes using the same trench. Standards had changed since the last time that was written and approved and stuff, so we updated those type of dimensions there. The rest of it was all pretty much boilerplate for what was previously there. Obviously changing everything from the Board of Commissioners to the Board of Selectmen, obviously, with you guys being the governing body on that now, so. And it's got the same rate structure that has been in place right along. On that last page is the addendum A, which has the rate structure there. We spoke and we decided to leave that all alone until we get more into the meters and see what's going on with.
Correct, and that kind of was a recap of the meeting that we had with the gentleman who done the survey.
Scott.
But unless anybody else wants to, I just soon table this for a week. I want a chance to read it before we adopt it. Okay. Just a notice, we had the tax sale, which was Saturday? This is for sale of town-owned properties. The gross receipts from that was $109,750. There will be some properties which possibly have generated excess proceeds which will need to be returned to the former owners. So the gross was $109,750, 35 registered bids.
What was owed, do you know? What was owed?
I don't know. We'd have to get that from Kelly. We have a timber tax warrant for our tax collector to collect $3,291. I make a motion we sign. All in favor? Aye. We have a request for abatement. This is on map 130, lot 12, sub 121. Our assessor has recommended that we deny it. Recommends we deny. The RV park owners are required by law to provide a list of all properties on site as of April 1 annually. This is where we draw our information from. The taxpayers have not provided any relevant value information pertaining to this unit. Reviewed the property cited in the assessment. The comparable properties the taxpayers cite as more valuable are assessed higher than the subject. The quality and the condition of the units are subjective. He recommends no change. Recommends we deny the abatement. Based on that, I make a motion we deny it. All in favor? Aye. We have a request for abatement. This is on map 31, lot 52. The original assessment is $309,700. The revised assessment is $305,600 for a difference of $4,100, which will result in a refund or abatement of $85.69. Our assessor recommends that we grant it. Did a complete inspection of the property. During the inspection, it was noted the dimensions of the building were incorrect. This has been corrected and the value difference should be abated. Make a motion we approve. All in favor? Aye. We have the Highway Department work log here in the folder for anybody to look at. This is a statutory notice to our tax collector, and we are requesting that you begin the deeding process on the following properties, and there are 2, 4, 6, 7 properties. Make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. We have a copy for our information only of a wetlands permit.
Ingham?
Hmm?
Is it Ingham?
Ingham,
It's a PBN.
58 Ridge Road in Center Ossipee.
It's a PBN,
It's a what?
permit by notification.
Okay. We have a notice of intent to cut. This is map 261, lots 19 and 27 on Granite Road. The owner is an Ellen McManus. Western Maine Timberlands is the logger. The taxes have been paid. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have a letter from the Winsott Village Property Owners Corporation. Letter serves to formally notify you of a zoning violation at 25 Old Mill Road. The violation of Article 5, 4.9 travel trailers and campers is a travel trailer that is being used for housing more than 14 days in a calendar year. To paraphrase this, they're asking that the selectmen take action. They do acknowledge that our zoning officer has already been out. I'd make a motion, don't even need to make a motion. We suggest that we pass this on to our code enforcement officer and have him look into it and report back to us. Okay? This is to the Board of Selectmen from the Planning Board. The Planning Board at the June 20th meeting needed to appoint a representative from the town of Ossipee to represent on the Lakes Region Planning Commission. The commissioner's term is for 4 years, and Rick St. Jean is the current representative. Selectmen asked the Planning Board to nominate another member to fulfill the second open position for RSA 36. Bob Gillette had volunteered and was passed. Then I understand, was it later in the meeting or before that meeting, did they withdraw their membership from the Lakes Region Planning Commission?
The board voted not to pay the dues.
Beforehand. Beforehand.
So,
We don't pay the dues, we're not.
okay. So if the planning board has decided not to be a member of the Lakes Region Planning Commission, then there should be no reason for us to act on appointing somebody.
The correct answer is that by law you have to be a member, but you don't have to pay dues to the planning commission. The planning board decided not to pay dues, but they still want their 2 allowable members to sit and vote on the.
Do we have to do that?
By statute, you have to be a member of,
I thought so.
not pay membership dues.
How's that photographic memory?
It's just
Pretty
right
good.
there in the cement.
Good.
Nice job.
Nice job.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we appoint as our representatives, Rick St. Jean and Bob Gillette.
Second.
All in favor?
No,
Aye. Opposed?
opposed.
Okay. It's a notice of decision for self-storage, which is going to be on Route 28. The old, what most people around here remember is the old drive-in theater property. It was approved with conditions. It's here, to fold if anybody'd like to look at it. This is also the same thing, notice of decision regarding case number 17-4. That's regarding the self-storage. We have a copy of the consent calendar from the Executive Council. It's here for anybody that would like to look at it. And we received, I don't know, you got these yet?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, well, I guess we got it before the representatives got it, but it's the Carroll County Annual Report. You like to borrow our copy?
Sure.
Okay. I couldn't resist, sorry. That concludes that photo.
We have the payroll request reimbursement for the water and sewer department, in the amount of $8,047.62. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have their accounts payable total for the week was $4,402.88. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Can I be on the phone?
And we have a water and sewer warrant to allow them to collect $162.82. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Keep that.
So, what's this one that says no signatures? Oh, it's over here, okay.
Old business. Brad, the Valley Road Bridge.
Valley Road Bridge is coming along. We did have some delays with the weather, has really been playing games with us, but we got the other footings in on Friday last week, and we're scheduled for tomorrow morning to place the main deck and the wing walls on the bridge tomorrow. And we would anticipate having the rest of the road, all backfilled and, the gravel over the top of the bridge by the end of the week, and the bridge should be open.
Anything new on the covered bridge?
I did speak to Hoyle Tanner today. They are working on the final design for the project there. They sent out notices to all the abutters up there for, about the right-of-way and getting construction easements to go in there and work around the bridge and stuff. There was one reluctant one on the covered bridge road side of the bridge, and I've gone up and spoken with him and explained what the easement was for, that it wasn't for people to just go down and use the waterway, stuff like that, so he was good with that, so I'll get that information back to Hoyle Tanner, and they'll be able to put that in to get that package of that part of the design going along with all the other stuff they're working on to get that part of the design done.
Okay. And have you heard anything at all about 28-171?
No.
No change?
No.
You reach out to them before the next meeting and see if we can get an update on them, what their plans are?
Yep.
Any other old business?
No, we just need to, I guess the Conservation Commission needs to do this, put out a bid proposal.
I don't think they need to. I thought Ellen said that she had a copy of the bid specs, so to speak,
Okay.
last time.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Good cement, there you go.
Anything else on old business? Brad, anything else?
Just to let you know too, Bill's got the work done on it. I just haven't had a chance to prepare to bring it to the meeting there. He's done the budgeting and the kind of the layout for the new sign we talked about out in front of the town hall, and also for the picket fence over around the Chickville Church.
Good.
So we'll get that package together and try and get to you guys next week here, so you can guys take a look at that and stuff, so
Okay.
that's ready to go.
Yeah, the other thing I'd like to dust off and update, once we get to that point, there was some talk back when we first took ownership of the cemetery, that, and I think they had already gotten a price to do it, to replace that chain link fence on the new section with the same granite and chain as the old section. It would look a whole lot nicer through there. My suggestion would be that we only do that on the roadside, and leave the chain link fence on the back and the side, because that's just to keep four-wheelers and stuff moving across it. Maybe we can find out if that's still available, and dust that off and come up with a price on that. Okay? Anything else? Right.
I don't have anything else, other than just to mention again, our household hazardous waste will be Saturday, August 5th, right here at the town hall parking lot in front of the highway garage. It's our annual drive to get all the, not latex, but the other oil-based paints and stuff like that, and herbicides and all those chemicals out of the houses, so.
One of the questions I had on that, how many people show up with stuff that isn't hazardous that they're trying to throw away?
Not too many, really. Most of them have it figured out. We do get skilled, we'll bring some latex paint in, and we just, we don't take it there, we just take the bad stuff, and we tell them to take that over to the transfer station, they'll take it there anytime.
I wasn't sure, because I got thinking about that, and if that were a problem, why not have a dumpster here that they could, the non-hazardous stuff? I'd hate to see that go back, you know what I mean? And I know that the dump is open, but
something to think about maybe in the future. If that becomes an issue, just bring a dumpster over here.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. I bet we wouldn't get, I don't think more than 3 or 4 people probably bring something in, so it'd be half a dozen cans at the most, so.
Good, okay. All right. Anything else under old business? Sonny, we have you down for Knox Mountain landowners.
Yep. Since the last time we talked, we need the signatures, so I got all the signatures.
Good.
And I want to see what the next step is.
You got 100% of the signatures?
Every one of them.
Good. And if we sign onto a paper or something?
Yes,
Good.
yep. They printed, signed, and left their phone number. Yeah.
Good. If you can make sure that we get a copy of that, we'll make the copy. If you just stop in and see the girls, they'll make a copy.
Okay.
The next step in that process, which we didn't want to invest a lot of time in until we got to here. The next step in that process would be for Brad and presumably Billy to go up and start a real good evaluation on what that road is going to need. Once we have those figures, then we can start talking about whether or not it's going to be done through a betterment assessment like we discussed before. And that's the process. I'm glad you're here this early, because that gives us some time, because in any case, it would have to be voted on at next town meeting, which is next March.
Right.
But it's going to take this amount of time probably to get where we need to be able to give the townspeople the information they need to vote.
Okay.
So, if you can just make sure that we've got a copy of that, and then Brad, something else for your list, but if you can start going up and doing a full-blown evaluation now of what those roads would require. We just didn't want to have him spending, 100 hours up there until we knew that
Yep.
everybody wanted it, so. If you can just start that process and start to put together some figures. Billy, you might be more even on the maintenance side, because it's gonna be one of the questions. What's that gonna do to your roots? What are you gonna need? What aren't you gonna need? So, start to get some information put together. Yes?
Can you give a quick background of what you're discussing?
I'm sorry, sure. The Knox Mountain property owner is a fairly large private development located off from the Ossipee Mountain Road. Sonny, help me out, how many lots are in there?
Probably 50, 60.
50 or 60 lots. It's a private subdivision. They approached the town, going now back probably 2 or 3 years, and had asked about the prospects of the town taking over those roads. First of all, because of the way most of the private developments are set up, if there are 40 lot owners, as an example, then everybody owns 1/40th of the road. So in order for us to progress at all, there had to be a 100% willingness by the property owners for the town to take it over. That now, having occurred, will allow our Public Works Director to go up and evaluate those roads to determine exactly what it is going to cost to bring those roads up to a town standard. Ultimately, town meeting will still decide whether or not to take over those roads. But one of the critical issues is, and always has been, who's going to pay for what needs to be done to the roads. There is a process called a betterment assessment, where let's throw out round numbers. Let's say that there needs to be, $500,000 worth of work. That amount of money will be paid, but will be reimbursed by the lot owners in a betterment assessment as part of their property tax bill over a period of several years. That gives them a light at the tunnel as well. I mean, right now, not to pry into your personal business, but you must pay several $100s a year in association fees to maintain the road with no end in sight. So with a betterment assessment, it's a way of getting the improvements done. Yes, they're gonna pay for them over a period of years, but they have the light at the end of the tunnel of being able to say, well, yeah, all right, we've got 6 more years, and then we don't have to do that anymore. And the taxpayer has the ability to make a decision about whether or not to take over the road, knowing that they may agree to take over the road, but that they're not paying for $1 million worth of work that they don't feel like they should have to. So this is the first step in a fairly complicated process, but it was a necessary step to get 100% of the property owners on board first.
How the townspeople ultimately vote is anybody's guess, but this is the legwork that's gonna be necessary for them to make an informed decision. Does that explain it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay? So get that, just stop in and tell the girls that we asked you to, ask for copies of that stuff, and,
You want me to do it tonight, or can I do it tomorrow morning?
you can tomorrow if you'd rather, but.
Yeah, I don't wanna keep them late tonight.
Oh, they're gone? Oh, all right. Okay, so we're gonna do that. So
Okay.
just stop in there, make copies of it, make sure we get that, and then,
Yep.
my gut tells me, Brad, I wanna try to give Sonny a time when he ought to think about coming back, end of August.
Probably middle of July to end of July to get started on this, yeah.
But for him to come back, I'm thinking we wouldn't have much of an answer started until.
Oh, I thought about talking with me to go up there, it's not the assessment
No,
process.
I think
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
reach out to him.
Right, yeah,
If you need
That'd be
information
fine.
about up there.
yeah.
But what I'm gonna suggest, Sonny, is by around the end of August, touch base back with us, and we'll see where we are. I don't know that it'll be a long meeting, but we'll at least keep an update going,
Right.
okay?
Middle of August?
End of August.
Okay. sounds
Okay.
good. Yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, next on the agenda is, water service at 9 Doors Corner Road, John Lee.
Yeah, you guys denied us for having water there when, I don't know why, for the fact that it's been, the water department, along with Stanley Eldridge, 2 years ago, dug that up and made it so that they turned the water on, and they fitted that hose with a new end, so it could be hooked up to water.
Correct. That's when you had a building permit to put up a building. The problem is, what you're asking is for us to just turn on water to a hose, which I understand why you want it. But the water service is normally not turned on until there is a house there, or a structure, or a place. We don't even have a place to put a meter. There needs, usually there's a building and then the water goes in. What you're asking is for the water to go in and there's no building there.
There would have been a building there if you guys didn't take it from us this winter. I had explained to the zoning officer that I had everything in place to put a foundation in, a slab in this summer. But because you guys made us leave the home, took my home, that money that I got from my tax return is now gone because I had to spend the money to put up my children and myself in not only a hotel, but somewhere where I have a 2-year-old grandson that has to stay the winter. Right now, we are on that property in tents. I have actually begged you guys to let that stand as it is, that yes, I knew we were in violation of a code. And the town zoning officer had already said that yes, that was HUD approved. He saw the sticker on the inside and the sticker on the outside. There was nothing wrong with that mobile home. It just needed to be turned.
The problem is, okay, and I don't want to relitigate this whole thing, but the problem is that in all fairness, you have not lived up to a single agreement that you've made with us to date. Not one. We adopted, the last time that you were here, we adopted your timeline, not ours, your timeline on when you were going to have a slab in, and once you, that was a requirement for the building permit to stay active. Remember, your building permit had completely expired. We issued a new permit with milestones that you had to hit on your schedule, not one we provided, you provided. And yet you did not meet those milestones that you had agreed to. You got to the point where you left us, quite frankly, very little choice. That agreement, which was signed on to by our attorney and with you folks, laid out exactly what it was you had to do and when.
and you didn't do it. You didn't do it. I empathize with what you're saying. But the trailer was put in there and occupied illegally. There was no septic system in place. There was no water in place. You quite frankly pushed us into a place where I don't know what you thought we could or couldn't do. We were where we were. That's why we ended up instructing the town attorney to go to court to get an order to have it removed. And we did, because even there's no court that's going to allow people to live in a home with no septic system.
I understand that. And it was, unfortunately, if you guys read the letter that I had sent you guys, along with the attorney, that we no longer had the financial backing of the church.
I did read it. We did read it. But you also didn't offer any new date.
Yes, I did.
Yes, we did.
I put in several requests for a new date and an outline of that date. Had you guys saw that, because I know I gave it to,
Oh, yeah. we
I
gave
gave
you
it to
copies.
everybody, I gave it to the town attorney and everybody else, that as long as that mobile home was there, that we wouldn't even be discussing this, because everything would have been poured and everything would have been up and operational.
You're sugarcoating that to the nth degree, because it wouldn't have been okay if that mobile home was still there, because you were still living in there with no septic. You
I
can't.
have a porta
We had a
potty.
porta potty, that's the
Listen,
septic.
listen, you can say that all day long. Were you not generating any gray water whatsoever? Were you bathing? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I was bathing, but I went to a friend's house.
Okay. We cannot hook up, this goes back, and I really don't want to relitigate the whole thing, but to go back to where we are right now, we cannot approve a water service when there's no structure. If, and there is one provision, if you have a valid building permit and you have construction issues with water, then there is a provision to put in a temporary service only for that construction, for no domestic consumption whatsoever. Because we come back to the same issue, which is we can't put water onto that property if there is no place for it to go into a septic. Can't. You just can't. So that's where we're back to, that's why we denied the temporary water service. There's no house there. There's no place for it to go to.
It's not gray water, it's getting the cement to be, has to be mixed with water.
You don't even have a building permit currently. You don't even have a building permit right now. If you were going to come in and file for another building permit, you can do so. And you're going to have to, again, abide by some very stringent milestones that you have to hit.
What date does that go from the friend's house?
But when water goes onto that site, I'm not talking, it's not just about bathing, but if you wash dishes with it, if you bathe, if you clean up the house, anything that produces has to go into an approved septic system. It just can't go out on the ground.
I understand that.
Well, there's no.
And there's water, there's a water line and a septic line already on that
Which
property.
you are not hooked into, and you can't hook into the sewer line until you have a structure to support it. It's the sewer line that goes on there is a fairly large pipe. There has to be a house and a toilet and a sink and that type of stuff to hook into it. It's not just a hole in the ground that you can pump into. I don't know what you think we can do, Pete.
If I come up with another timeline, and I'm just saying.
Why would it cost $2,000 just to put put that together anyways when it's water already on there, and then they owe us a meter anyways, because they took the one off there when I first bought the property.
It's not about it costing $2,000. It's about, we're not gonna approve it, I don't care how much it costs. We're not gonna approve a water line just onto a piece of property for you to camp on. That's not the way it works. There needs to be a structure. And you can't put a structure there until you have a building permit. And honestly, to date, you had a building permit which expired. We issued you a new permit which you failed to comply with. That's why we ended up in court. I don't know what more you think we can do for you.
I don't know. You guys, I've come up with several of them, and you guys keep denying, keep denying, keep
That's
denying.
not true.
That is true.
We adopted your timeline. And
Yeah, that was the old one with Dave South.
And you failed to abide by what you said you were going to do. You told me you were gonna move out of the state. You wanted the last one approved because you wanted to be able to stay there temporarily because you were moving to Pennsylvania in September. But you told us you were moving out in June.
That didn't fall through because the house didn't fall through.
And I get that. But see, what you need to understand, and I understand, stuff happens. But when you make those commitments, and we accept them, then you have to live up to them. Because if you don't live up to the rules, then I can't
So
ask
like you're
him
saying,
to.
if I put another structure on there, then I can hook up the water.
But you cannot put a structure on there until you have a building permit.
If I build a cabin, I can put water in that.
You cannot construct anything without a building permit.
We need to go get a new building.
Well, we'll get one.
That's if they, that's if they don't deny us again.
Well, we'll get one.
That's the process. Okay?
Okay.
All right, public input. Any other?
I just want to say thanks for the time, and
Not a problem, thank you.
I'll see you mid-August.
Yeah, we're not gonna do this again by the end of August, and we'll
Okay.
let this get.
And you know where I'm at up there, right? Okay.
Be busy this coming week, but after that.
Okay, if you need to get a hold of me, I'll be on the mountain.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Okay, we're going. Anything else? Connie, anything? Ed?
Well, I wanted to talk about, I don't know if it's still on the agenda, the issue with the campers and the abatements and everything else.
It is.
Now, I spoke to some of the assessors in the area, and apparently I even found out there are some towns that are not even abiding by the law. I'm not going to say which one, it's not in this area, but some towns have found it so cumbersome and so time-consuming, and it costs them so much money to do it, they just don't do it. So, and like I said before about bringing people together to kind of solve this, so I'm going to, in the next few weeks, I'm going to set up a meeting with DRA, the New Hampshire Assessors Association, and the area assessors. Because after talking to the assessors, they do have some answers. Why no legislation's been put in to amend this, I don't know. This is something that I think the legislature could actually agree on, because a lot of towns are losing money by continually abating like this. So there has to be
Well,
a
it's not,
solution.
never mind the continually abating. You gotta understand how much it costs, I mean, for an area that has a fair number of campgrounds, we spend an awful lot of money assessing. I mean, there's a lot of expense to the way that the current system is set up as well.
So you agree that if this was solved,
Oh,
we could save the town,
Absolutely.
taxpayers, a lot of money?
absolutely.
Well, that's why this should be
Absolutely.
addressed, at least something, this is something I think everybody can agree on. So in the next few weeks, now, I don't know, I don't have really the authority to do much of anything on the town level, because they're your employees. So I'm gonna come to the selectmen and have permission to create a type of work group
Absolutely.
and figure this out, because this is something that has to be done at the state level.
And some of the other towns, you're hearing the same kind of stuff?
Oh,
about how
absolutely.
long it is? Okay,
Perhaps
good.
they're having a huge problem.
At least it's just not something we're doing.
No, you're the only ones that are doing it right in the public meeting. So they're not usually doing the abatements in Wakefield's meetings, which I'm gonna, not in the public part of the meeting.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna mention this on Wednesday to Wakefield to find out, I'm sure they'll be on board, but we gotta
Yeah.
solve this.
I'm not
certainly appointed anybody else, but how do you conduct a vote in a not public meeting?
I have no idea how they're handling it.
Okay.
I will ask that question.
Just curious.
Maybe they're using the 91A, a big tax like you do your taxes, maybe
Okay,
they're doing
yeah.
it under that.
Maybe under that, sure. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any new business?
I do.
I've got one item, and that is, it was in the Old Home Week newspaper. First of all, Old Home Week is going on, and I hope that people will support those endeavors and go to the different events. There's a whole host of them. I did notice, and I hadn't known until then, that Natalie Hall has stepped down from the committee. Natalie was one of the founding members, and has been on there. I think it was the last of the founding members who was left. Several others, including me, got off a few years ago. We'd had enough, so Natalie has stuck it in longer than anybody. And she's getting right along, but she has done a tremendous job with that. She was the treasurer for that organization from its inception, and I'd like us to send a letter as a board thanking her for all of her effort with the Old Home Week Committee, and congratulating her and thanking her for it. Any problem with that?
Nope.
Okay. Please make sure that
Yeah,
Ellen
be
knows
nice.
about that, and then we'll draft a letter.
Actually, another note that
Yeah.
I'd like to make another thing, that they're having a bike giveaway tomorrow. I believe it's at 10 o'clock right here in the parking lot here. They got a lot of new bikes.
We're doing bicycle safety.
Yep, bicycle safety, Donnie Grow, I believe, is handling it.
Yeah.
Helmets, new bikes, they get a raffle ticket and they put in for the bike they want and get a chance to win it. There's some awful, all brand new bikes. A lot of the townspeople did, give money for bikes, and we have, I don't know, there's about 10 or 15 of them. Good.
I never got the information for the website either. I usually do, so I can put everything on the calendar and people look there.
Well,
Yes,
the
I
papers
also-
are out, did you see
I
them?
know, but
Okay.
I have to go through the paper.
I also told Sam to get in touch with you so she can tell you what's going on. And maybe you can put it
If they have that paper electronically, send it to me, please.
on. I will. I don't know if they do or not.
They usually do, because I put it up.
Okay. Anything else?
I know, he just came back.
All right, I make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
All in
You
favor?
all set, Bo?
Aye. Did
Have
you
you
vote?
recovered?
Did you vote?
Yeah, I will. Bo, have you recovered?
Thank you.
Our water and sewer superintendent here, whatever you call him, has had an operation, and he's been working